Disgust is a powerful emotion that definitely needs to be part of your emotional arsenal. Understanding and accessing it on demand, especially for the on-camera actor, can be a game changer. Now, unlike anger, which is quite explosive, volatile, wants to punish or hurt, disgust is an emotion of aversion. With disgust, you want no part of whomever or whatever is causing you to feel this emotion. The message disgust sends to the recipient is that you're repulsed by them. We often send this message to people who we despise, loathe, or hate. And no one is better at controlled disgust and anger than Clint Eastwood. The video you're watching right now is Gran Torino, and throughout this movie, he skillfully goes back and forth between controlled anger and controlled disgust, and often blending the two messages. It's definitely a movie that you want to watch and learn from. So let me tell you what we're going to cover in this video. We're going to start with what you need to know about the emotion of disgust. I'm going to talk to you about the triggers, the sensations, and the impulses. Then we're going to move to some of the key words that describe a disgust experience, as well as other emotions that you're going to find in the family of disgust. Then we're going to talk about your take on this emotion. Okay, so let's start with the muscle groups. Now, disgust can be expressed in two areas on the face, the upper lip raising up towards the nose or the nose wrinkling. So when that top lip lifts up towards the nose, the bottom lip can either be pushed up to the upper lip or it can be lowered and slightly protruding. In that case, you're probably going to see your teeth. When the upper lip raises up, it also creates more pronounced folds on the side of the nose, as you can see here. When the nose wrinkles, it also raises up the cheekbones, and when that happens, it pushes up the lower lid. And also the brows get lowered, lowering the upper eyelid. And this is one of the reasons why people often confuse disgust with anger, because we see the eyes narrowing, which is a trait for anger. For the purpose of us all speaking the same emotional language, when both muscle groups of disgust are activated and symmetrical, we're going to call this expression full disgust. Now, when we contract and tense all the muscle groups to the max, that will be the biggest recognizable expression of disgust you can come up with. Although disgust can be read and felt with just one muscle group, full disgust needs the activity in both muscle groups. Now, here's what you need to know about the emotion of disgust. Unlike anger, which is quite explosive, volatile, and wants to punish or hurt, as I already mentioned, disgust is an emotion of aversion. The message disgust sends to the recipient is that you're repulsed by them. And most people would rather have you be angry at them than be found repulsive. What's really interesting about this emotion is that a lot of people are fascinated by the things that they find disgusting. For example, have you ever blown your nose and then checked your tissue? Or passed a car wreck and looked at a bloody body? You can't take your eyes off it. Now, as you're going to discover, disgust has a big family and a wide range of intensities. This is what you also have to keep in mind. Not everyone has disgust for the same things. And one man's disgust is another man's pleasure. For example, some people find the look and smell and taste of oysters repulsive, while others view it as a delicacy. Most of what we find disgusting has been learned over time. It's important to note here that extreme disgust can also trigger fear or anger. When you think about disgust, it's easier to divide it into two categories, the contaminated and the offensive. Now, the contaminated refers to things that you see, touch, or taste or smell that are rotten, decaying, spoiled, or could be harmful if you ingested it. When you think about the offensive, you're thinking about the diseased, deformed, unfortunate, or the morally corrupt. Now, you can also include things that leave your body, such as blood, feces, urine, etc., that could be disgusting as well. So let's take a look at what triggers a disgust response. The most universal themes for disgust are contamination, something that's offensive, and rotten objects. As far as the sensations go, disgust can vary in intensity from mild dislike to gagging, nausea, or vomiting. When you begin to work on the emotion of disgust, unless the intensity is very extreme, the sensations, well, they're not going to be as identifiable as fear or anger. However, you should notice a change in energy, centering in the pit of your stomach that moves right on up, and sometimes, a lot of times, right to your eyes when it's directed at someone or something. Let's take a look at the impulses. Getting rid of or away from the contaminated, toxic object or thought is the goal of disgust. Think about this. Have you ever been disgusted with yourself? If you have, more than likely you had a thought about what you did and you felt your whole body turn and try to turn away from the thought. That was your impulse to eliminate that toxic thought or just move away from it. Now, depending on the intensity, you may be able to contain or not act upon the disgust impulse. For example, you might have a mild reaction to the smell of a new dish prepared by your boss's wife, but unable to bring yourself to try it. Although your body wants to turn away from it, you're able to control the impulse. Another example might be sitting next to someone with body odor on a bus. The smell may evoke a feeling of disgust, but due to the circumstances you want to be playing, you're able to manage it. All right, so let's look at the family and keywords within disgust. Now, disgust can be used to describe a multitude of feelings such as distaste, displeasure, repugnancy, loathing, disapproval, revulsion, detestation. This is just a few of the words that we use to describe a disgust experience. Let's take a look at your take on this emotion. Do you use disgust to mask your anger? Have you learned to control your expression of disgust? You know, this is not a pretty emotion. Perhaps in your family this expression wasn't allowed, so you're going to reroute it into something else. Some people are attracted to things that are disgusting. They love raunchy bathroom humor or movies of that nature. On the other hand, there are people who find those styles offensive because, well, they conflict with their moral values and it triggers anger in them. What's your take? Understanding your relationship with disgust is key to seeing it in the material, hearing it in the directions, and executing it appropriately. Okay, so that was a quick overview of the emotion of disgust. What I suggest you do, take a moment to read the material I put up for you. We'll really give you an in-depth look at the emotion. Keep this in mind. The more you're familiar with this emotion, the quicker you're going to see it in the material and hear it in the directions.